we talked about data, how to back up data, how to protect data, like how data is critical in our day-to-day life. So this topic will enhance this protection as well. So today we'll cover the security basics, and I have Kishan with me who will take us to this, who will walk us through this topic, that is security basics. So without any further delay, let's get started. So Kishan.
Thanks, Manoj, for the introduction. So, since it's an introduction level course, so we'll be covering very basic topics for this security courses. So, we are going to cover, security and what does security means, then what's information security means, what's security goals of information security system, and what are the CI for, and some terms involved in the security and offensive security, and how all those things are tested. Let's get started. So, security in general is, a state of, being secure. So it could be for an organization, for a nation, or for an individual. Okay. So, in general, this is the simplest definition of being secure. So it's like free, being free from danger. So there are various, layers of the security, which involves physical security, personal security, operational security, communication security, network security, and information security. We'll be mainly discussing information security, but all this aspect of a system in general are covered in the security. So physical security, take case of your data center, your computer systems are, physically intact. Nobody can, external entity can harm it directly. So it's something like if you have a data center for your organization, right? So it should be in a secure premises. So there should be adequate, security measures to protect from external entities. Personal security means that the personals which are involved in this processes and these whole chain, right, that should be protected against the external attack vectors. So mainly it covers this social engineering attacks. So it requires educating those persons who are involved in these processes and the operations. So how you like say how you take backup, how you store it, how you restore it. So all those processes and operations are involved, right? That should be performed securely. If you have even archived your data or the logs, right? So it should be stored very securely. So operations involved in this processes required to be secure and should be thoroughly tested. Communication security involves all the conventional communications, like if you are even sending some data over a post or a courier, right? That should be considered like who's going to who's going to take it and to whom it's going to be handed over. The network security covers like all the aspect, like if you have your cloud infrastructures, your private clouds, your virtual private clouds, your internal networks, external exposed entities and everything. So it basically the process of protecting your network from the intruders. And information security. So we are going to maybe talk about it. So information security is, the basically goal is to achieve the confidentiality, integrity, and the availability for the assets. Asset is something like you wanted to protect. Now it could be, stored information. It might be something like processing you might be processing those informations, or it could be in transmission. So while storage, there are data at rest encryptions. For processing, there are you know uh, you know encryption algorithms for data overfly. For the transmissions, there are TLS, SSLs, and all those things to protect while transmitting the data. So basically, how to achieve this information security? So basically, the process is like something. You need to have a clear set of rules, like what you want to protect, how you are going to protect it, and you should come up with some policies around it, or the compliance that you want to follow. Then based on that, you educate the ask particular stakeholders, give them training, provide them security awareness, and apply the technological constraints over around it. So let's say you wanted to protect it from external intruders, right? So you will probably deploy a firewall or IDS or IPS for your network. So basically, the very least stage involves technical controls and the information security. So very high level, like we said. So the goal of the information security is to achieve the confidentiality, integrity, and the availability. So what confidentiality means is any information that's being accessed, right, that needs to be accessed from a authorized personal or the user, right? So there should be some mechanism implemented to verify the identity of the user who's going to access the information. What integrity means is like whenever some party accessing some data, so there should be a way to verify that they are accessing the the authorized party or anticipated party are accessing the correct information. So that's something like providing the checksum for your files. Talking about the availability, so your system should be available all the time. Your computers, your networks, your information system should be available on the time limit. It should not impact your business and mission, mission dependent your requirements. So your system should be available, and there should be no substantial losses while accessing your system. So that's a very conventional requirement of the security that's been upgraded by this CI4AM mechanism. So it already contains the confidentiality, integrity, and availability, but there's more concept that's been introduced that involves authentication, authorization, auditing, and the management. So what we have already talked about confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So we'll be moving directly to the authentication. So it's basically a way to ensure that uh, uh, in this virtual applications or the virtual entity or in the information system altogether, right? There should be a way to verify a user that it is who it is, right? It's claiming to be, right? So let's say you wanted to log into your company's portal, right? So you provide your username and password or your email and password, right? So there's a way to provide the validation to the system that you are someone who is authenticated person that can access the information system. So there are various ways to perform authentications. One is the username password. There could be multiple stages of the authentication as well. So MFAs and 2FAs and all this covered in this. Sometimes as part of authentication, personal identities are also used. Something like biometric devices, which includes iris scanners, fingerprints, facial recognition, etc. So authentication is the a way of saying the information system that let's say a person authenticates to the system. So what are the entities that it should really able to access? Yeah. So there are various ways to do it. So there are number of authorization models implemented for the information system based on the requirement and need. These are adapted to the system. So just name a few. There are role-based access control model, rule-based access control model, discretionary access control model, etc. So even if you access your domain users and all those things, so they perform various authorization techniques to ensure the accessibility to the entities. So auditing, moving to the next, auditing is a way to track all these operations on your entities. Let's say you're accessing something in your information system, or you're modifying something, you're adding something, you're removing something. Yeah. Okay. So basically, these thread operations are, there should be enough substantial evidence that so and so operations has been performed on your system. Then management involves creating again the policies, creating the controls at technical levels, whichever the technical controls are implemented that are designed at this level. It could be user management, it could be session management, it could be deciding like when you're going to apply patches to your system, and the operational aspect like your application should run with so and so privileges. Uh, by following the principle of the list privileges or something, and specific configurations involved in your information system. So these are the very few terms that are listed to whenever security is discussed. These terms are very important and should not be misunderstood. So asset is something like the thing that you want to protect. That's a valuable entity that you want to protect. So it could be your systems, it could be your TVs, it could be your employees, anything that's valuable to you and you want to protect. That's been considered as the asset to the information system. So threat is the probability of causing damage to the assets. So there could be in general threats are divided in two categories. Threats could be external or the internal. So external threats involves like the attackers, the real attackers, and insiders are the persons working for you, and that could misuse your information system to harm the and gain access to the assets, or in general to harm the overall information system. If they don't even gain some information, they just want to destroy the information. So that's considered as the threat. So threat agents are the the subject basically, which can actually perform those attacks in a real time to materialize these threats. Vulnerabilities are the weaknesses in the system that can make it possible to attack the uh, information system. Attacks are the actual the process of exploiting the threat agent. Basically, threat agent perform some operations that can lead to the harm of the your information system. In order to protect your information system, safeguard and countermeasure safeguards or the countermeasures are implemented. So let's say you wanted to address vulnerabilities in the earlier stage of your product engineering or your product life cycle. So you'll plan this in advance. So which covers improvisation in your processes like you perform secure coding practices, you perform validation of those secure practices, you design your application workflow in a secure manner, and you deploy pipeline to deploy these applications are implemented securely to have the probability less privileges, and that helps to protect against those vulnerabilities. So probability is the potential chance of threat being realized by an attack on an asset. So how probable it's to attack the system. So based on the probability, sometimes this vulnerabilities and the threats are taken in the consideration of how they are going to be fixed or taken care or addressed in general in the life cycle of the product. Second important aspect is the impact, like when a system is attacked, right? What will the outcome of that attack? Let's say it could be to total system compromise, it could be partial compromise, or the attack could hardly affect a single user based on their interaction with this information system. So impact is the very important aspect when we are talking about the security. So so probability and the impact are the uh, important matrices when you want to prioritize your vulnerability and addressing them eventually. So yeah, that's pretty much covering the fundamentals. Now, talking about security testing, so there are basically two main approaches. One is to implementing the defensive measures, and second is the applying the offensive way to validate your defensive measures. So you might have heard, right? In order to catch a thief, you have to think like a thief. So that is the approach that's been taken, or further, inherited from these art of war and strategic, decision making. So, I'm talking about the defensive security. It's in general the conventional way to protecting the information systems. So it basically involves the reactive measures, like let's say tomorrow your system getting DDoS, right? So then you decide uh, in order to protect it, what are the controls you're going to apply. And let's say there's a firewall installed to mitigate DDoS, right? So the further steps, whenever this firewall is bypassed, right, you don't have enough measures to check the configurations of this Wi-Fi. There could be misconfigured rules which could furthermore help or make it possible to still able to uh, gain access to your networks and compromise the availability of your information system. So it's more of a reactive approach to protecting information system. It involves like patching the softwares, installing the latest version, and finding and fixing system vulnerabilities whenever it get introduced or a known database publishes it. The offensive approach is more of inherited, like I said, from this Chinese tactician Sun Tzu. So he has basically given this approach to perform or validate your security controls to test your network systems and individuals involved in this processes to how they react when an actual attack is getting performed. So it's a more of a proactive approach, and it's like you're going to perform advisory operations, like you wanted to compromise the system, and you have to basically think like an attacker and act like an attacker to compromise the system. So that's a more of an offensive approach. So in general, both the approaches are in practice to basically defend information security. So on the security testing, so there are mainly three approaches to test security. One is the high level assessment, second is the network evaluation, uh, third one is the penetration test. It could be, it applies to the every perimeter and the every information systems in general. This approach is, it could be your on-premise data center. It could be your local area network. It could be your WAN. It could be your private cloud. It could be your third-party cloud. It could be your Kubernetes cluster or anything. In general, it applies to everything. So what's high level assessment? So you basically it's a top down look to the organization policies, procedures, and the guidelines. So it perform these checks, like first of all the rules to secure the information system is written, and whenever you want to perform some actions, right, or you wanted to do something, there should be a proper procedure defined. And let's say you wanted to upgrade your firewall or you wanted to change the vendor of your firewall, right? So there should be a proper process followed to how this migration will take in place. Even if you're migrating your applications from one platform to another, there should be a clear set of guidelines to further carry forward this processes. So that's what involved in the high level assessments. So this includes some hands-on testing and all those things. But so very in general, it's like verifying that you wanted to do so and so stuff in your organization. Are there any policies available? If these policies are available, are you following it or not? Right. And the next step is like, if there's content sufficient to guard this against potential risk, so you validate, like if there's uh, this one, so policies are applied and being followed. So are they good enough to protect against possible list of threats? So that's what covered in the high level assessment. So network evaluation is like all the elements of your information systems are assessed, like what's exposed and all those things. So traditional approach involves hands-on activities, performing the information gathering, scanning, and determining the services which is identified by the scanning process, and what sort of version they are running and all those things. If there are exploit associated with the exposed services, so what are the possibilities or exploitability of uh, those vulnerabilities, and based on that you decide, right, how secure your network infrastructure is. So conventionally, information gathering, involved this DNS enumeration, Google Docs, and all those things. But nowadays, it's getting modern and open source information are getting utilized in this information gathering. So let's say one person wants to gather information like what sort of IDS IPS has been uh, you know uh, installed on your premises. So they could potentially utilize this recruitment platforms like LinkedIn or Naukri.com. Gather the information like if you have posted require so and so trained candidates, right? So they come to know like that they are using so and so firewall or so and so IDS and IPS. based on they strategize like how they are going to proceed further with their investigation or the attacks. Furthermore, they perform these scannings like which are the open ports, what are the domains available, what are the TNS servers available, DHCP servers available, what are the wireless access point available on the premises, or what are the management endpoints that's on premise or on the cloud or whatever your infrastructure is in. Then comes assessing those services or the ports or the management plan to against those vulnerabilities. Like if there's known vulnerabilities, and then then the next step is to assessing the exploitability of that uh, vulnerabilities identified in this step. And the very popular approach is pen testing the systems which are basically advisory in nature. So it takes more of an offensive approach. You try to break the systems, and you try to modify the flow of your system so that there could be never the system is never expected to take the input in so and so form and all these things. So you wanted to alter the flow of your system, information system in general, and you want to break your information system to check if you can gain access or control the information system. So this is, very less concerned on the policies and procedures. This is totally about what are the attack surfaces and identifying the attack vectors and exploiting the known vulnerabilities. That's what covered in penetration testing. So this offensive approach, sometimes also known as on the area of implementation, it known as so in general it's known as security testing. Sometimes it's called vulnerability testing, where uh, the scope is limited to validating that so and so vulnerabilities exist in so and so component. While in penetration testing, it enhances one step further by exploiting after you verify those vulnerability actually exist, right? You try exploit those vulnerabilities and see like post exploitation, right? What what are the things or what harm can you do to the information system, and are you able to track your cover your tracks and all those things that covered in the penetration testing. So ethical hacking is more or less similar to penetration testing. So it's a a famous term that come with this ethical approach of testing information system. Yeah. Next thing is the red team exercises. So you, an organization, you have your team, orange team, and the red team. You to address their respective uh, tasks. So red team is the attacker who's going to attack the actual security controls and try to bypass the uh, those controls and try to harm the information system. So totally reverse to the routine exercises. So whenever there's firewall IDS, IPS, or the antivirus is in place, and you are performing the testing, so that's also the offensive approach, right? There are limited signatures and all those things are there available in the known TVs with the antiviruses. So they try, creating new malwares if the antivirus is capable enough to, detect it through the existing signatures and all those things. It's been covered as part of this offensive approach. So malware reverse engineering, it's involve the studies of the creating sandboxes for your systems and determining how this malwares can affect your information system. Cryptanalysis mainly concern about the cryptographic capabilities of your information systems. So in general, approaches toward accessing to your information system. Let's say you have uh, known keys for your information system. So what harm you can perform to the information system? Sometimes if plain text is known to the attacker, sometimes plain text and the encrypted text are known to the attackers. So it's basically approach to reverse or decrypt the information without providing the necessary parameters. Like in general, there's symmetric and asymmetric uh, encryption with when used that requires keys to encrypt or decrypt information. So it basically try to either reverse it or bypass their structure to access the original information. And most of the upcoming research are considered as the security research around different areas. So if you are interested and you wanted to further study or explore what security and all those things, so you can refer these sources. So Pentest, this platform defines the clear set of what should be the uh, steps that should be followed while you perform a pen test. So it has all the steps listed, what should be the engagement rules, what should be the intelligence gathering methodologies, how threat modeling should be performed, and how vulnerability analysis should be taken place, what should be the exploitation criteria. It could be remotely exploitable vulnerabilities. It could be on device exploiting or escalating privileges uh, through the access to the information system. And once you're exploited a vulnerability, like what are the things that you can perform, that's covered in the post exploitation. uh, After that, how to publish the proper pen test report, that's been covered over here. And this technical guide provide performing pen testing over various platforms, traditional hosts like Mac OS X or the VMware workstations and Linux systems traditional, or the RF devices, or the these are the OSN, that's open source information gathering methodologies and the tools. So that there are all the information provided over here, and the tools that you can utilize through your processes. Like if you are footprinting through emails and all these things, yeah, you can use these tools. So these are the basically the high level list. There are substantial information provided, like what are the tools available out there to actually test all this security. So let's Nessus is a very famous tool for scanning your targets. All these things are paid, or some of them are community available in the community version for free. So these are the lists that you can refer. So this is a very good resource to refer pen testing. Next is the OWASP. So it's a basically open source organization which provides. So they have various projects. Most of them are focused on web applications, but there are a number of projects for which provides the tools, resources, communities to learn and expand, and talk with the people who are in security business, all those things. And mainly they also provide some platforms to educate people or learn from their existing project. So they have number of projects available. for learners. It includes they publishes top 10 list over a period of time. So they have top 10 list available for mobile platforms, web applications, Dockers, uh, Kubernetes. They are in process to publish it in general for the serverless platforms. They published all those stuff. So these are the number of platforms. Let's say this JuiceSoup is a vulnerable application built on the Node. So there's a mobile top 10 and all those things. So these are the good resources to further explore and keep your study going on in the security platform. The next is the science. So uh, they are very famous for their error in programming. So they over a period of time they publish what are the in general errors or the big practices that can be followed by developers. So sometimes knowingly or unknowingly uh, people follows some coding practices which could be harmful to the information system. So they published this list, and if you're a developer and you want to know like if am I doing the things right or not, so you can refer this platform. So there are a number of training available over there. So taking too long to load actually. So this is a list of top 25 errors that been uh, published by science. When OWASP has guidelines for developers to what are the common mistakes that they should avoid in general. So these are their CWE top 25 list. That's for common weakness annexure. So that's pretty much it. These are the assignments that I've given you to further explore the security domain in general. So first is the installing the pub suite tool. It's a basically proxy tool for Windows and Linux systems to test mobile applications or the web applications. The next assignment is the same. This is the free tool available for doing the same thing that PubSuite does. It has free scanners and a crawler to scan your target, and so that's the second. The third assignment is about there's a web code, there's a vulnerable application to practice your attacking the systems and all those things. And Necto is a web server vulnerability assessment tool. Upon is also a web server vulnerability. It works at host level. It has various capabilities. It's basically a fork of Nessus. So if you don't get to work with the paid tools, you can use OpenWest. So that's pretty much it. And yeah, if you get a chance, so you can explore this Linux distribution. That's a Kali Linux, so it has number of tools pre-installed, so you don't have to install all these tools. So for each stage of performing the security assessment, they have pre-installed tools available. So you're working with SMTP, SMB, any protocols, right? For analyzing or information gathering. For each phases, there are number of tools, pre-installed. So yeah, feel free to explore it. It's a very known Linux distribution for pen testers. So yeah, so that's all for today. And in the end, I would like to say like its own security is an ongoing process, and job of a pen tester is to find the loopholes in the systems, and designer's job is to protect them. So sometimes what happens while protecting those systems, some unknown loopholes are added. So it's an ongoing process and pretty much tedious also. So yeah, keep learning and do well. I will meet in the next session. Yeah. If you have any queries and what you are interested to learn further in the security domain, do let us know in this email address.
Great. So thank you, Kishan. That was indeed a great introduction to the security. So as always, feel free to write us at learning@afourtech.com. Meanwhile, any questions that we can address right now or Kishan address right now, please feel free to ask right
Feel
away.
free to. Yeah.
I don't see any questions so far. So I think we are good for now. So thank you guys and have a good day.